Hello friends, in this video I will be talking about the e-way bills. Now in this video will be basically about what is a e-way bill and what are the various procedures which you have to follow. The practical approach to the e-way bill, how you have to generate the e-way bill, and the other points regarding e-way bill generation on the website I will cover in another video which I will upload within few days. So kindly subscribe and do hit the bell icon to get timely notifications. So now first let's begin with what is a way bill or an e-way bill. So a way bill, it is a receipt or a document which is issued by a carrier, which means the transporter, giving details and instructions relating to the shipment of a consignment of goods, and the details include name of the consigner, the consignee, the point of origin of the consignment, the destination of the consignment, and the route. So it's basically a receipt or which are document which is issued by the transporter which is carrying the goods, and it contains the details of the goods or the shipment of the consignment and instructions, and also includes name of the consigner, that is who is sending the goods, to whom the goods are being sent, the point of origin of the consignment, that is from which place the consignment is moving and where it is moving, and the route through which the consignment will move. So suppose goods are sent by ABC Limited to XYZ Limited, so it will contain name of ABC Limited, XYZ Limited, the point of origin. So if goods are traveling from Delhi to Mumbai, it will contain the way bill will contain details of the place of origin, that is the Delhi, place of destination Mumbai, the route through which the goods will travel. Electronic way bill or e-way bill, it is a compliance mechanism. So it's basically e-way bill is in relation to GST procedures, so it's a compliance mechanism wherein by way of a digital interface, the person who is causing movement of the goods, he uploads relevant details prior to commencement of the movement of the goods. So it's always prior to commencement of movement that an e-way bill has to be generated on the GSTN portal. Now coming to the Act part, Rule 138 of the CGST Rules 2017, it provides for the e-way bill mechanism, and it's important to note here that information is to be furnished prior to commencement of movement of the goods and is to be issued whether the movement is in relation to a supply or for reasons other than supply. So you have to, first of all, you have to furnish information regarding the movement of the goods prior to the movement of the goods take place, and you have to file this e-way bill whether or not the movement of the goods is in relation to a supply. Even if the movement of the goods is for reasons other than supply, you have to file an e-way bill if you're moving the goods. Now there are certain exceptions which I will deal with in the later part of the video. So e-way bill is an electronic way of bill bill for the movement of the goods, which can be generated on the e-way bill portal. Transport of goods of more than rupees 50,000 in value cannot be made by a registered person without e-way bill. So if you are transporting goods of value of more than 50,000, you have to generate an e-way bill. Now the government has provided the facility of generating e-way bill or cancellation of e-way bills by SMS. Now how you have to do it, this will be covered in the second video regarding the e-way bills, the practical way or practical approach to generate e-way bill. So when an e-way bill is generated, a unique e-way bill number, EBN, it is allocated and it is available to the supplier, the recipient of the goods, that is who will receive the goods, and the transporter. So basically this EBN number is provided to three parties, that is the person who is supplying the goods, the receiver of the goods, and the transporter. Under GST, so e-way bill has to be generated on the GST portal, which evidences the movement of the goods. Now there are two components of this bill. Part A, which comprises the details of the GSTIN of the recipient. So the GST number of the recipient of the goods, the place of delivery, PIN code will be specified, the invoice or challan number, the date, the value of the goods, the HSN code, transport document numbers, that will contain the goods receipt number or the railway receipt number, airway bill number, bill of lading number, etc. And reasons for transportation. Whether it's a supply or any other reason, you have to specify that also. This will be in the part A of the bill. Part B comprises the transporter details, that is the vehicle number. As per Rule 138, every registered person, this I have already seen. Okay, so part B. So part A is basically talks about the details of the receiver of the goods, the challan number, what is the value of the goods, the acquisition value of the goods, then the transport documents, whether bill of lading or airway bill or railway receipt, etc. Part B deals with the transportation details, like transporters, details of the transporter, the vehicle number of the transporter, etc. Who should generate the e-way bill and why? E-way bill has to be generated by the consigner or consignee himself if transportation is being done by in his own or hired conveyance or by railway, by air or by vessel. So the consigner or consignee himself has to generate this e-way bill. If goods are handed over to a transporter, then e-way bill will be generated by the transporter. So if the consigner or consignee is transporting on his own behalf, then the e-way bill has to be generated by the consigner or consignee himself. If the transportation is being made by a transporter, in that case, e-way bill to be generated by the transporter. Where neither consigner nor consignee generates e-way bill and value of goods is more than rupees 50,000, it shall be the responsibility of transporter to generate it. So transporters have to be very careful if they are transporting any goods, the value of which exceeds rupees 50,000, and you have to ensure that if the consigner or consignee has not generated the e-way bill, it's your responsibility to generate the e-way bill. Further, it has been also provided where goods are sent by principal located in one state to a job worker located in the other state, the e-way bill shall be generated by the principal irrespective of the value of consignment. So principal to agent basis or principal to job worker basis. So if you are transporting goods, if you are the principal and you are transporting the goods to a job worker in any other state, within state the requirement is not there. If you are transporting it to some other state, in that case the principal has to generate the e-way bill irrespective of the value of the consignment. So this 50,000 limit will not apply in case of principal to job worker transport from one state to another state. Also, this is a special provision with regard to handicraft goods. If handicraft goods are transported from one state to another person by a person who has been exempted from the requirement of obtaining registration, the e-way bill shall be generated by the said person irrespective of the value of consignment. So handicraft goods, if one person is transferring, now he is not required to obtain registration. One registered person is transferring handicraft goods from one state to another, then e-way bill generation will be mandatory. Here also there is no value limit. Now, how to generate the e-way bill? So here I will just talk about the method which you have to adopt to generate the e-way bill. The detailed procedure will be covered in the next video. Now, e-way bill basically contains two parts. Part A, to be furnished by the person who is causing movement of goods of consignment value exceeding rupees 50,000. Part B contains the transport details. So registered person may obtain an invoice reference number from the common portal by uploading on said portal tax invoice issued by him in form GST INV1 and produce the same for verification by the proper officer in lieu of tax invoice, and such number should be valid for a period of 30 days. From GST EWB01 will be for generation e-way bill and it will be auto-populated, so you do not have to generate this EWB01 from GST EWB01. It's an auto-populated and it will be generated on the basis of the information which you have filed in form GST INV1. So this is only for registered persons. And upon generation of the e-way bill on common portal, unique e-way bill number EBN generated on the common portal, and it will be available to the supplier, recipient and transporter on the common portal. Now when we talk about the validity of the e-way bill, the validity, it depends on distance which is to be traveled. So if the distance is less than 100 kilometers, e-way bill will be valid for 1 day only. For every 100 kilometers thereafter, e-way bill will be valid for an additional 1 day from the relevant date. So if the distance is up to 100 kilometers, 1 day, up to 200 kilometers, 2 days, 300, 3 days, 400, 4 days, and so on. Now what is relevant date? Relevant date will mean the date on which the e-way bill has been generated, and the period of validity shall be counted from the time at which the e-way bill has been generated, and each day shall be counted as 24 hours. So suppose you generate an e-way bill at 2 p.m. today, it will be valid till 2 p.m. on the next date. So time will be counted from period of validity will be counted from time in which e-way bill has been generated. From 2 p.m. from today to 2 p.m. of tomorrow will be considered as 1 day, and so on. Now validity of e-way bills, they cannot be extended generally. However, the commissioner may extend the validity period only by way of issue of notification in certain categories of goods which has not yet been specified. So in certain categories of goods to be specified, the commissioner can issue or can extend the validity of the e-way bill only by way of a notification. Also in exceptional circumstances, it can be extended. E-way bill cannot, if the goods cannot be transported within validity, then transporter may generate another e-way bill by after uploading details in Part B of Form GST EWB 01. That's in exceptional circumstances. Cancellation. Now, can you cancel the e-way bill once it has been generated? Now, if you cannot transport the goods, suppose you have generated an e-way bill and you cannot transport the goods, or there are certain details which you have entered erroneously in the e-way bill which has been generated. Now, you can cancel it electronically on common portal or through a facilitation center within 24 hours. Within 24 hours, you have to cancel the e-way bill. However, e-way bill cannot be cancelled if it has been verified in transit in accordance with provisions of 138B of CGST rules. So, what you have generated an e-way bill, you have transported the goods, and the goods in transit has been verified. In that case, you cannot cancel the e-way bill because it has been verified in transit as per provisions of 138B of the CGST rules. Now, what is Rule 138B? The link to the Rule 138B I will attach in the description box, so you can check the Rule 138B of the CGST rules also. Now, under the GST, transporters, they should carry an e-way bill when they are moving the goods from one place to another. Since it's a new rule introduced in the GST, it's necessary for all consignees, and transporters to be aware of the required compliance. So it's very important that the consigners, any consignor, consignee, and transporters, they should know what are the various compliances that they have to undertake in GST regarding the e-way bills. Now, when should an e-way bill be issued? E-way bill will be generated when there is a movement of goods of value of more than rupees 50,000 in relation to supply. So whether movement is in relation to supply, or if goods are in relation other than supply, say for the purpose of a return of goods due to supply from unregistered person. So if the goods are inverse supply also, but from an unregistered person, you have to issue e-way bills. Now, for this purpose of e-way bill, what is a supply? So supply will mean if the supply which is made for consideration, that is for a payment in the course of business, a supply not made, a supply made for a consideration which may not be in the course of business. So supply made for purposes of consideration in the course of business, or whether it is not in the course of business also, you have to issue e-way bills. A supply without consideration, that is without payment. So in simpler terms, supply usually means a sale or sale of goods, payment made. Transfer, that is branch transfers. So even in cases of branch transfers, e-way bill has to be issued. or if there is any barters or exchange where the payment is made by goods instead of money. Therefore, e-way bills must be generated on common portal for all these types of movements. So basically, any kind of movement, branch transfers, barters, sale of goods for payment or without, not for payments, any kinds of movement of the goods, you have to generate this e-way bill. Now this is the most important point. Now when you do not have to issue an e-way bill, if the mode of transport is a non-motor vehicle, so if you are moving goods from in a non-motor vehicle, mode of transport, goods transported from port, airport, air cargo complex or land custom stations to an inland container depot or a container freight station for clearance by customs. So if you are moving the goods from any port, airport or an air cargo complex or land custom station to the nearest inland container depot or container freight stations for purposes of custom clearances, you do not have to issue e-way bills. In cases of transport of specified goods also, you do not require e-way bill. Now what are the specified goods? I will attach in the PDF. So transport of goods as specified in annexure to rule 138 of the CGST rules, e-way bill will not be required. This rule will be attached in the description in a link given in the description box, so you can check out there. Goods being transported by a non-motorized conveyance. So we have seen this, goods being transported from port, airport, air cargo complex or land custom station to an inland container depot, ICD or a CFS. In respect of movement of goods within such areas as notified under Rule 138, and consignments of value of less than 50,000. So if it's less than 50,000, you do not require an e-way bill. Who should generate an e-way bill? This is again important. All registered persons in respect of transport of goods of more than value more than 50,000. So a registered person or transporter may choose to generate. So even if the value is less than 50,000, you can generate an e-way bill, and I would say it would be better to generate e-way bills. Otherwise, there may be certain problems regarding the valuations. So if the value of the goods is near to 50,000, you better generate an e-way bill if you're a registered person. Unregistered persons are also required to generate e-way bills. However, where supply is made by unregistered person to a registered person, then the receiver, that is the registered person, will have to ensure all compliances are met as if they were the supplier. So unregistered persons, they have to generate e-way bill, but if you are an unregistered person, you are supplying to a registered person, then in that case the receiver, that is the registered person to whom goods are being sent, the onus of preparing the e-way bill transfers to that registered person. And transporters carrying goods by road, air or railway, they also need to generate e-way bill if the supplier has not generated. So if you are the person from whom you are taking the goods or the person to whom you are taking the goods, from whom and to whom, both have not prepared the e-way bill, then the transporter has to prepare the e-way bill. So government is totally safe on all three sides. Any one, if the e-way bill is not generated, then the three will be under the government lens. So anyone has to generate it. Either is the consignor, the consignee, or the transporter. So the owners have to transfer to all three. So all three has to now check. So this table will basically clear your doubt regarding who has to generate e-way bills, when the goods have to be, the bill has to be generated, and what is the form. So every registered person in the GST has to generate the e-way bill before movement of the goods. If to fill in the part A, form is GST EWV01. If you are a registered person, you can file in the INV form, and then EWV01 will be auto-populated. Registered person is consignor or consignee. Mode of transport may be owned or hired, or if the registered person is the recipient of the goods, then also before movement of the goods, you have to fill in part B, form GST EWV01. Registered person is consignor or consignee, and goods are transported handed over to a transporter. Then registered person shall furnish information relating to transporter in part B. So if you are giving it to transporter, then you have to fill in the details of the transporter in form part B of the form GST EWB01. Transporter has to also generate the e-way bill before movement of the goods. Unregistered person under GST and the recipient is registered. Compliance has to be done by recipient as if he is the supplier. We have seen this. So compliance in cases of unregistered person is transporting goods to a recipient who is registered. And the recipient who is being the registered person has to comply with the e-way bill formalities. So what he has to do is to give in the details regarding the transporter and all. Part A he has to file and part B of the form GST EWB01. If a transporter is transporting multiple consignments in a single conveyance, they can use form GST EWB02 to produce a consolidated e-way bill by providing the e-way bill numbers of each consignment. If both the consignor and consignee have not created an e-way bill, then the transporter can do so by filing out part A of form GST EWB01 on the basis of invoice or bill of supply or delivery challan given to them. So if both the consignor and consignee they do not create an e-way bill, then the onus of creation of the e-way bill will be on the transporter. So which are the states who have notified the e-way bills? Notifications have been given by Karnataka, Uttarakhand, Rajasthan, Jharkhand, Kerala, Sikkim and so on. So for all interstate transport, these states have notified the e-way bill mechanism. So process I will talk in short about how to generate the e-way bill. So if you generate it online, validity, it will be valid on the basis of kilometer which is travel. Now documents required to e-way bill for e-way bill generation: invoice or bill of supply, challan related to consignment of the goods. If transport is by road, then transporter ID or vehicle number. If transport is by rail or air or by ship, then transporter ID, transport document numbers and date on the document. So these are the certain finer points regarding the e-way bill generation and the law, which if you want you can read. I have covered all these in the video itself. So this is just a summary of the points which I have covered. Now consequences of non-conformance e-way bills. So taxable person who is transporting taxable goods without cover of specified documents, that is e-way bill, penalty of ₹10,000 or the tax which is sought to be evaded. Also, if a person is transporting goods or he stores any goods which are while they are in transit in contravention of the provisions, all such goods and the conveyance used as means of transport, they are liable to detention and seizure. So 10,000 of penalty or the tax, whichever is higher, plus the goods which are in transit and which require an e-way bill and have contravened these provisions, all such goods plus the conveyance will be liable to detention and seizure. So the conveyance which is used to transport that goods is also liable to detention. So enforcement is the commissioner or officer who is empowered by the commissioner. They are to verify the e-way bills and the physical forms for all interstate and intrastate movements of the goods. Physical verifications can also be carried on by whom? By the commissioner or any or the officer who is empowered by him. And regarding this inspection report, a summary report will be formed within 24 hours of the inspection. The final report will be also given in part B of form EWB03 within 3 days of the inspection of the goods. So once physical verification of goods being transported, it has been done during transit, no further physical verification of said conveyance shall be carried out again in the state. So in a particular state, only once you will the physical verification can be carried out unless specific information of evasion of tax is there. So this was all regarding the e-way bill. Thank you.